In the silent dawn of Montana, Andrew Harrison noticed something unsettling in the blue glow emanating from the belly of his pregnant mare. What seemed to be simply a natural phenomenon revealed an inexplicable pulsating pattern during an ultrasound, which even altered the electronic equipment. Amidst telepathic messages and glowing circles in the field, ancient secrets began to emerge. But when strange agents appeared demanding answers, Andrew, Victoria, and Gabriel discovered that protecting the foal would be only the beginning of an extraordinary destiny. Before listening to this true story, remember to subscribe to the channel to learn more exciting stories like this one. The sun had barely begun to peek over the mountains of Montana when Andrew Harrison was already up, as he had been every morning for 20 years. His worn boots creaked on the damp earth as he headed towards the stables, where the familiar neigh of Aurora, his most prized mare, greeted him as always. However, this morning there was something different about her greeting. Aurora, a magnificent Andalusian mare with snow-white coat, was 6 months pregnant. The pregnancy had been meticulously planned, choosing the best stallion through artificial insemination, a procedure performed by Martin Esquivel, a renowned equine genetics specialist. Until now, everything had proceeded normally, or at least that's what Andrew thought. "Good morning, my girl," Andrew whispered as he stroked Aurora's neck. The mare responded with a soft snort, but her eyes, usually calm, showed unusual restlessness. Andrew noticed that the coat around her belly emitted a faint bluish glow, almost imperceptible in the dawn light. At first, he thought it was an optical effect, a play of light from the rising sun, but when he touched the area, he felt a strange warmth, different from anything he had experienced before. Concerned, Andrew immediately called Victoria Morales, the local veterinarian who had been following Aurora's pregnancy from the beginning. Victoria arrived in less than an hour, her face reflecting the seriousness with which she took any emergency call. "When did you notice these changes?" she asked, as she prepared the portable ultrasound equipment. "This morning," Andrew replied, not taking his eyes off Aurora. "But now that I think about it, she's been more restless than usual for several days. I thought it was just part of the pregnancy." Victoria began the examination with expert movements, sliding the transducer over Aurora's belly. The image on the screen made both of them hold their breath. The fetus was clearly visible, but there was something else. Luminous patterns pulsing rhythmically around the unborn foal. This isn't normal," Victoria muttered, adjusting the equipment controls. "I've never seen anything like it." As they continued to observe, the foal moved and the ultrasound screen began to flicker erratically. Nearby electronic equipment, Andrew's phone, Victoria's watch, simultaneously shut off. "What's happening?" Andrew asked. But before Victoria could answer, Aurora let out a sharp neigh and all the devices started working again. Victoria took blood and tissue samples for analysis, promising urgent results. As she gathered her equipment, she noticed something on her tablet. The files of the insemination procedure performed by Martin Esquivel showed inconsistencies in the dates and registered genetic codes. "Andrew," Victoria said tensely, "I think we should contact Martin. There's something in these records that doesn't add up." But when they tried to call Martin's clinic, they discovered it had suddenly closed a week ago, leaving no trace of his whereabouts. At that moment, a bright blue flash illuminated the entire stable, emanating from Aurora's belly, and both Andrew and Victoria clearly heard in their minds a voice that wasn't human. "Protect me." Night fell over the ranch, but neither of them could sleep. In the darkness, the luminous marks on Aurora's belly glowed ever more intensely, and in the nearby fields, mysterious circles began to appear, emitting the same bluish glow. What neither of them knew was that at that precise moment, Gabriel, Andrew's old friend known for his spiritual connection with horses, was waking up startled in his house miles away, with a clear vision of the unborn foal and an urgent message he had to deliver. Dawn found Andrew sitting on the porch of his house, with a cold cup of coffee between his hands and his gaze fixed on the stable. He hadn't slept. The images from the previous day repeated in his mind like an endless movie. The sound of an approaching vehicle snapped him out of his thoughts. It was Gabriel, his old friend, arriving unannounced in his worn-out pickup truck. Gabriel, a 60-year-old man with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold ancestral secrets, got out of the vehicle with unusual urgency. Without a word, he pulled from his bag an ancient leather-bound book, its yellowed pages covered with symbols that Andrew immediately recognized. They were identical to the marks that had appeared on Aurora's belly. "I dreamed it last night," Gabriel said, his deep voice charged with emotion. "The foal called me. These symbols, they're part of a Sioux prophecy that speaks of the horses of dawn, beings that would be born when the earth needed healing." As they talked, Victoria arrived with the preliminary test results. Her pale face revealed that she had discovered something disturbing. "The DNA," she began, spreading the documents on the porch table. "It's not just unique, it's impossible. There are sequences that don't correspond to any known species, and others that seem to rewrite themselves as we observe them." A neigh from Aurora interrupted the conversation. The three ran to the stable, where they found the mare surrounded by a blue aura more intense than ever. Gabriel approached slowly and placed a hand on her belly. His eyes closed, and when he opened them, they were filled with tears. "The foal can communicate. It's showing me images. Martin didn't create this. He discovered something that already existed in the blood of some ancient horses. He didn't experiment, he just awakened something that was sleeping." Suddenly, the sound of helicopters broke the morning peace. 3 unmarked black vehicles were approaching on the ranch's main road. From the first one, a man in a suit got out who introduced himself as Dr. Richard Thompson from the Special Investigations Department. "Mr. Harrison," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "we have reports of genetic anomalies on your property. We're here to conduct an inspection." Before they could respond, Victoria noticed something on her tablet. She had received an encrypted email from Martin Esquivel. As she opened it, her hands trembled. "Victoria, if you're reading this, you're in danger. They're not from the government. They're part of a private organization that has been searching for these genes for decades. The foal is not the first, but it could be the most powerful. In my office, behind the Pegasus painting, you'll find everything you need to know. Destroy this information after reading it. Don't trust anyone who asks about the Aurora 7 code." Just then, Dr. Thompson uttered those exact words. "We're here for the Aurora 7 project." Gabriel, who had kept his hand on Aurora's belly, received another vision from the foal, images of an ancient cave in the nearby mountains, marked with the same symbols, a sacred place that had remained hidden for centuries. At that moment, all electronic equipment within a 100-yard radius simultaneously shut off. Aurora stood up, majestic, and a pulse of blue energy emanated from her body, forming an invisible barrier that kept the unwanted visitors out of the stable. In the sky, the clouds began to form circular patterns, and on the ground, the mysterious glowing circles multiplied, creating a pattern that pointed towards the mountains. Andrew, Victoria, and Gabriel exchanged glances. They had minutes to decide: confront the authorities or flee towards the mountains following the unborn foal's guidance. What none of them knew was that, hidden among the nearby trees, Martin Esquivel was observing the scene, holding an ancient amulet that pulsed with the same blue light, waiting for the precise moment to reveal the true nature of his involvement in this story. The decision was instantaneous. While the blue energy barrier kept the agents at bay, Andrew and Gabriel quickly prepared Aurora for the journey. Victoria, with trembling hands, copied the crucial data from her tablet to an old analog device, aware that modern technology could be both a blessing and a curse in their situation. "Through the North Trail," Gabriel whispered, guided by the visions that kept coming to his mind. "The foal knows the way." Taking advantage of the confusion generated by the energy field, the group slipped away through an ancient path hidden among the vegetation. Behind them, they could hear the altered voices of the agents and the sound of helicopters that were beginning to fly over the area. As they advanced through the rugged terrain, Aurora seemed to move with supernatural grace, as if each step was predestined. The marks on her belly glowed with greater intensity as they entered sacred territory, illuminating the path in the growing darkness of the forest. "Wait," Victoria suddenly said, pointing to a nearby clearing. Among the trees, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows, Martin Esquivel. "Don't be afraid," he said, raising his hands in a sign of peace. The amulet hanging from his neck pulsed in sync with Aurora's marks. I've been waiting for this moment for decades. Martin then revealed an astonishing truth. The amulet he wore had been found in an archaeological excavation 20 years ago, along with ancient manuscripts that spoke of a sacred equine bloodline. He hadn't created anything in his laboratory. He had simply identified the dormant genetic markers in certain horses and found a way to awaken them. "But there's more," Martin continued, his voice trembling with emotion. "The symbols, the marks, they're not just decorative. They're an ancient language, a visual genetic code that—" A gunshot interrupted his words. The agents had found them. Amidst the chaos, Aurora neighed, and a new pulse of energy emerged from her body, this time more powerful. The nearby trees began to glow with the same blue light, and their leaves whispered in a forgotten language. Gabriel, in a trance, began to translate. "The Guardians awaken. The circle must be completed." Suddenly the ground beneath their feet vibrated, and ancient petroglyphs began to glow on the surrounding rocks. A path of light formed before them, winding towards the mountains. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. Martin extracted from his bag an ancient map that showed a network of sacred places connected by lines of energy. "It's not just this foal," he explained hastily. "There are 11 other places where the ancients predicted similar horses would be born. Together, they would form a circle of renewal for the earth." A helicopter appeared above their heads, illuminating them with a powerful spotlight. At that critical moment, Aurora did something extraordinary. Her bright marks spread across her entire body, and for an instant she seemed to become ethereal, as if made of pure light. Everyone who touched her at that moment experienced a shared vision. They saw the interior of an ancient ceremonial cave, where 12 circles carved into the rock waited to be activated. But the vision also revealed something disturbing. They weren't the only ones who knew this information. Dr. Thompson and his organization had been tracking these sacred sites for years, trying to harness their power for very different purposes than healing. As they escaped from the agents going deeper into the mountains, a new complication arose. The marks on Aurora's belly began to form a countdown pattern. The foal would be born soon, much earlier than expected, and it needed to be in the right place when this happened. What none of them knew was that at that precise moment, in 11 different places around the world, other horses were beginning to show the same bright marks, and other guardians like Gabriel were starting to receive the same visions. An ancient prophecy was being fulfilled, and the birth of Aurora's foal would be just the beginning. Night had fallen completely when the group reached an elevated plateau. The city's glow was far away, and the stars shone with supernatural clarity. Aurora suddenly stopped, her hooves firmly planted on the ground, as if she had recognized something invisible to human eyes. Gabriel approached a nearby rock formation and ran his hands over the irregular surface. Under decades of moss and earth, ancient engravings emerged that matched exactly the marks on Aurora's belly. Martin quickly took out his journal and began to take frantic notes. "This confirms the theory," Martin muttered. The ancient Sioux not only predicted this, they prepared for it. Each symbol is a specific genetic sequence, a map to awaken dormant capabilities. Victoria, who had been examining the data on her analog device, looked up with an expression of amazement. "The energy frequencies, they're changing. It's as if time itself is bending around the portal." Aurora was the first to approach the luminous opening. As she did so, the marks on her belly began to resonate with the portal, creating an interference pattern that revealed fleeting images of other times, the first guardians performing ancient rituals, the original celestial horses touching the earth for the first time. But just as they were about to cross, a new projection from the jade necklace showed something alarming. Dr. Thompson and his team had discovered a way to track the energy signatures of the portals. Their machines were beginning to interfere with the ancient network of interdimensional paths. Gabriel, whose newly awakened abilities were growing stronger by the moment, perceived something more. "They're not just tracking the portals," he said with concern. "They're trying to replicate them artificially if they succeed. The entire network could collapse," Martin completed, his ancestral knowledge emerging with clarity. "The portals are not just doors in space. They're anchor points that maintain the balance between dimensions." Donna Light, who had remained silent observing the dancing symbols in the air, then spoke with a voice that seemed to contain echoes of ancient truths. The real danger is not that they fail to create their artificial portals, it's that they succeed. At that moment, the Foals shared a vision with everyone through Aurora. It showed what would happen if the natural and artificial portals came into conflict. It wouldn't be just a physical catastrophe, it would be a rupture in the very fabric of reality, a tear in the delicate web that connected all times and spaces. Master Chen then took a second object from his tunic, an ancient hourglass whose sand glowed with the same light as the portal. "This is the celestial chronometer," he explained. "It doesn't measure time, it guides it." The first Guardians used it to synchronize their movements through the portals. When the clock began to flow, something extraordinary happened. The particles of bright sand didn't fall downward, but flowed in complex patterns that seemed to respond to an invisible gravity. Each grain left trails of light that formed symbols in the air. "It's a map," Victoria whispered, her golden eyes reading the patterns. "But not just of space, of time itself. It shows the convergences, the moments when natural and artificial portals could come into resonance instead of conflict." Aurora neighed softly, and everyone received a new vision. The foal not only needed to be born in the right place during the eclipse, but at the exact moment when all portals, natural and artificial, were in harmony. It would be an infinitesimally small time window. But then, just as they were preparing to cross the portal, a figure emerged from the deepest shadows of the cave. It was Dr. Thompson, but not as they had seen him in the projections. This one was different, older, with eyes that reflected the weight of future decisions. "I have lived this moment 1,000 times," he said with a tired voice, "in every timeline, in every iteration. And now I understand. I didn't come to stop you. I came to show you something you need to see before crossing." Dr. Thompson, aged by time travels that had not yet occurred, took from his pocket a device that looked like a mixture of futuristic technology and ancient artifact. When he activated it, the air around them filled with holographic images, each showing a different version of the events that were about to happen. "I have lived this 1,000 times," Thompson repeated, his voice charged with emotion. "I have seen 1,000 futures, 1,000 failures and 1,000 successes. But never, never had I reached this exact point, with all of you fully awake." The images fluctuated, showing diverse scenarios. In some, the birth of the foal brought an era of harmony and planetary healing. In others, the power was corrupted, bringing the world to the brink of chaos. In several futures, the portals collapsed, creating voids in the fabric of space-time. Victoria, with her newly discovered ability to read ancestral energies, noticed something in the projections. The futures, they're converging, as if all possibilities were condensing towards a singular point. Master Chen nodded, his expression serene despite the gravity of the situation. "The multiverse is trying to correct itself. All timelines, all decisions have led to this precise moment." Aurora, sensing the growing tension, approached Dr. Thompson and touched him gently with her muzzle. In that instant, everyone experienced a shared vision. They saw the Thompson of the past, motivated by the desire to protect the world, making decisions that would lead him down a dark path. But they also saw his internal struggles, his desperate search to correct his mistakes through time. Gabriel, now connected not only with horses, but with the very essence of life, spoke with a wisdom that transcended time. It's not just about choosing the right future. It's about integrating all the lessons, all the paths, into a single harmonious decision. Martin, holding the heart of jade, noticed that the crystal was beginning to resonate with the holographic projections. The possibilities, they're collapsing towards a decision point. What we do in the next moments will determine not only the future, but the very nature of reality. Donna Light, whose eyes now shone with the knowledge of past and future ages, approached the portal. The stones of the jade necklace began to orbit around her, each projecting a different image of the other sacred sites. The guardians of all times are with us now. Past, present, and future converge. The foal, through Aurora, shared one last vision. It showed that its birth was not the end of the journey, but the beginning. The 12 celestial foals, once born, would have to unite in a cosmic dance that would rewrite the fundamental laws of the universe, healing the wounds of time and space. But there was a final complication. The present Dr. Thompson, the one they had seen in previous projections, was on his way with his team. He didn't yet understand the magnitude of what was at stake. "I must confront myself," said the future Thompson, his voice filled with determination. "Only then can we complete the circle." At that moment, the celestial chronometer began to vibrate intensely. The sand particles formed a countdown. They had exactly 3 minutes before the window of opportunity closed forever. Master Chen looked at each of those present, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of countless lives. "The universe has prepared us for this moment. Every decision, every trial has brought us here. Now we must make the final choice. Together." Aurora neighed, a sound that seemed to resonate through time and space. The portal pulsed with blinding intensity, and on its surface they could see reflected all the possibilities, all the futures, converging on a single point of light. "It's time," said Victoria, her hands glowing with ancient energy. "The future awaits us." The portal pulsated with blinding intensity, its edges rippling as if reality itself was about to bend. With one last exchange of glances, the group crossed the threshold, carrying with them the weight of countless possibilities and the hope of innumerable worlds. They emerged at the top of the mountain, where the ancient ceremonial circle glowed with an ethereal light. The sky above them began to darken. The eclipse was about to begin. Aurora positioned herself in the center of the circle, her belly resplendent like a miniature galaxy. Victoria, with her newly awakened powers, began to recite ancient chants that flowed through her as if she had known them for 1,000 lives. Her words resonated with the earth itself, activating lines of power dormant for millennia. Gabriel, in perfect tune with the essence of life, extended his hands. From the earth sprouted threads of green energy that intertwined with Aurora's luminous marks, creating a living network that pulsed to the rhythm of a cosmic heart. Martin raised the heart of jade, which now shone with the intensity of a star. Rays of light emerged from the crystal, connecting with the other 11 sacred sites around the world. Through these connections, they could feel the presence of the other guardians, each awakening to their own ancestral power. Donna Light, surrounded by the dancing stones of the jade necklace, began a ritual dance. Each movement wove patterns in the air, ancient symbols that seemed to rewrite the very code of reality. Master Chen played the jade flute, its melody intertwining with Victoria's chants and Donna Light's dance. The music seemed to exist in multiple dimensions, resonating through time and space. But just when the harmony seemed perfect, a dissonance burst into the cosmic symphony. The present Dr. Thompson had arrived with his team, their machines humming with artificial energy that threatened to destabilize the delicate balance. It was then that the future Dr. Thompson stepped forward. With a look of infinite understanding, he approached his younger self. "We are the same person," he said softly, separated only by the veil of time and experience. In that moment of connection, both versions of Thompson merged into one, integrating the knowledge of the future with the passion of the present. This union created a shockwave that traveled through all timelines, healing the fractures in the multiverse network. Aurora neighed, a sound that seemed to contain the essence of all possibilities. The foal was ready to be born, but it needed one last element: the conscious decision of all those present to embrace unity and diversity, to choose a future of harmony without denying the challenges of the past. In an act of profound synchronicity, each guardian touched one of the stones of the jade necklace. As they did so, their consciousnesses expanded, allowing them to perceive all timelines simultaneously. They saw the 1,000 futures that Thompson had experienced, the infinite possibilities that stretched before them, and in that moment of cosmic clarity, they made their choice. They didn't choose a single future, but the possibility of all of them. They accepted the responsibility of being guardians, not only of the earth, but of the very fabric of reality. The eclipse reached its peak, and a ray of sunlight, filtered by the moon, touched the center of the circle. Aurora shone with impossible intensity, and in an instant of universal silence the foal was born. But it wasn't a single foal. 12 rays of light emerged from Aurora, each heading to one of the sacred sites around the world. In each place, a celestial foal took form, each unique but part of a greater whole. The foal that remained with them was a creature of pure light, its eyes containing galaxies and its coat seeming woven with the very essence of the stars. When it looked at them, they all felt a profound connection, not just with the animal but with the totality of existence. As the eclipse came to an end, a wave of pure energy emanated from the sacred circle, extending throughout the planet. Where it touched, the earth renewed, rivers purified, air cleansed. But beyond physical healing, it brought with it a new consciousness. All over the world, people felt a subtle but profound change. A new understanding of their connection with nature, with every living being, and with the cosmos itself. The Guardians had fulfilled their mission, not only protecting the birth of the celestial foals, but catalyzing the rebirth of planetary consciousness. As the sun fully emerged from behind the moon, illuminating a transformed world, the group looked at each other, each glowing with the light of their true awakened nature. They knew that this was not the end of their journey, but the true beginning. Aurora, surrounded by an aura of peace and power, looked towards the horizon. The light foal by her side neighed softly, a sound that seemed to contain the promise of infinite adventures to come. And so, as the new day dawned on a reborn world, the Guardians and their equine companions prepared for the next chapter of their eternal dance with the cosmos, aware that each moment, each decision, was an opportunity to create harmony in the great tapestry of existence.